and welcome to another freestyle episode of the Wannabe Entrepreneur. In these episodes, I give you an update on my journey, the things I've learned, and today I have a lot of things to speak with you about, being the most important one, of course, my Product Hunt launch. Yes, I did a launch this past week that went really well, and I want to give you the full story and the full tips and tricks so that you can also have success with your own Product Hunt launch. I will also give you an update on the lifestyle of the entrepreneur, how this launch made me feel, and spoiler alert, there was a little bit of imposter syndrome. So I'll be speaking about that in today's episode. And in the end, we'll also give you some updates on the community. And I'm actually going on holiday for the next 2 weeks. Hopefully, it won't affect the podcast. I'm trying to plan everything ahead, but if there's an episode where I kind of skip ahead or I republish an older episode, you already know why. Hopefully, this will not happen. But I will also give you some updates on how the preparations are going and what are my worries as I'm going to holidays. So, yeah, let's get started with today's episode. So I am into Formula 1 now. I really enjoy it. It started after watching Drive to Survive from Netflix. And if you haven't watched it, I highly recommend it. I think it's really well made. And it's basically a documentary that follows the Formula 1 season. All around the season, they follow each driver, each team. They interview them. They follow all the drama, their challenges, their races. It's really interesting. And on the past weekend, I believe it was when they were racing in Barcelona, I watched a full race for the first time. I was already following it before, but normally I would just watch the highlights afterwards, and of course the season on Netflix. But for the first time, I really sat down and watched. I think that's around like 2 or 3 hours with all the preparation and then the after show and everything. And I really enjoy it. It's like watching a football match or something like that. And this past weekend, there was another race in Monaco and I watched it again. Really interesting, really cool. I really enjoy it. And it really made me think about the whole industry around entertainment. So, around entertainment, you have multiple areas, right? You have, for instance, music. You have artists. You go to concerts. You listen to music on Spotify. You have plays. You have comedians. And you have sports. But there's a big difference between sports and all the other entertainment, which is you in sports, you can capitalize in the same viewer multiple times, which is really cool as a business, right? So let's say, or let's take as an example an artist, right? A musician that you like. Okay, you would pay maybe $100 to go and watch a concert, but would you pay that every month to watch the same concert, or even every week? No, right? But there's many people that watch football matches every month, every week. They even go to the stadium, or they either watch it on the TV, they pay for these TV channels. And it's funny because it's always the same quote-unquote artists, the same entertainers, the same players. They're always the same playing. And the same with the Formula 1. It's always the same faces racing. Nothing changes. Of course, that it changes a little bit, the track and everything, and the weather conditions. But it's more or less the same. But it makes sense, right? Like, if I would tell you that I watch the same artist perform every weekend, you'd find it odd, right? You find it that, okay, this is weird. Why are you watching the same artist playing the same exact thing every weekend? And I could even tell you, no, but it's always different. They play different songs, or the weather is different, the crowd is different. But the same applies to racing or to football or any sport. It's basically the same, but somehow they're able to capitalize and ask for $50, whatever, $100 per weekend to see the same exact players perform. It's interesting, right? It's really hard for us, as when you normally have a business, they pay you once and that's it. Actually, in my business, it's a monthly, so it's a subscription fee. So they actually pay me every month to have access to the community, but it's not every weekend, right? It's not to see the same things. But yeah, I just wanted to share this perspective with you on how profitable is the industry of sport entertainment, and that's why there's so much money. There's so much money. Even in Formula One, I was just seeing the current world champion Max Verstappen. He's like 20, early 20s, and he has his own jet, mansion in Monaco. He's like multi-millionaire. And if you see all the football players, they're also multi-millionaires. They're making so much money that in comparison, the money that I'm making now, my MRR, $400. By the way, I reached $400. It's a joke. I mean, it's not even a joke. It's like it's not even a rounding error. They don't even notice that. That's because it's a business that brings so much money. And if you think about it, does it really bring a lot to society? Of course, that entertainment is crucial. Don't get me wrong. Entertainment is really important. Otherwise, our lives would be boring and no one would be happy. No one would like to work. But I mean, it's not medicine or food. It's just entertainment. You don't really need it to survive. Yet is making crazy amounts of money. So this got me thinking, is it possible to bring the same kind of business model to our world, to the bootstrapping world? And I guess the closer I got to that was doing my Product Hunt launch. Something really special that happened this past week. And a Product Hunt launch is like a race. So every day there are new products hitting the market, being launched on Product Hunt, and they compete with each other. The goal is to reach the top 5. Because if you reach the top 5, it means that you will have the badge, the Product Hunt badge, that you can proudly show it in your website to say that you are like the first product of the day or the 5th product of the day. And this brings a lot of social validation, because if you got there, if you got that badge, it means that a lot of people upvoted you. So it means a lot of people trust your product. So this really gives a lot of validation for potential new clients. And you want to get views. And of course, if you are in the top 5, you'll get a lot of views, as opposed if you are in the bottom 5, which you have basically 0 views. So during this process of the launch, I was like competing with the top products because I wanted to beat them. So I really felt that it was kind of a race. And there's even some interesting pages. There's one called Product Wars, and then there's another one called Product Wars V2. I don't know the story behind it, but I prefer actually the V2. And you can just search on Google Product Wars V2, and you see each day how the launch of each of the top products is going. So they take the top 5 products or the top 10 products, and they even show you in a graph how the upvotes is changing along the time. And it really feels like a race. So I want to tell you about the story of this launch, because I find it really interesting. And to tell you the story of this launch, I need to start by telling you the story of my first Product Hunt launches. But before, let me drink here a sip of my coffee. And this time I'm drinking it from the WBE mug. Yes, I got my WBE mug. It's beautiful. I have one in white and one in black. They are really nice. The logo turned out really great. And it took so much time to be delivered to me for some reason. I don't know. I think it's the Portuguese mail that are really terrible, because all the other people that ordered it before, they got it much faster. But yeah, if you want to buy WBE merch, you can go to store.wannabe-entrepreneur.com. The link will also be in the description, and you can buy mugs, you can buy t-shirts, hoodies, all this good stuff to have the WBE brand on you and to feel like a real entrepreneur. So cheers. Delicious coffee. So I was telling about the Product Hunt launch and my first launches. So, to give you an introduction, right? I'm a developer and my background is tech. That's what I worked before. I worked at Trivago, a big tech company. Then I worked in a tech startup. And then I decided to take the indie making journey. But as a lot of the people here that I meet, most of them, by the way, are also developers, we don't care too much about marketing, or we don't even know about it. And for us, we always think that the most important thing of building a product is building it, actually. So building the code, building the tech, the hardware, whatever. And we always try to get users by adding new features, which is a common mistake, something that I've learned too late, to be honest. But it's definitely a common mistake. So you spend months building a product, you release it, no one cares about it. So you assume that the reason why people don't care about it is because you don't have the right features. So you build more features, you release it, no one cares about it, and you end up quitting and crying. No, maybe that's only me. Anyways, what really should happen is you should build your product with your customers. So a lot of people even say that you should start acquiring your first paying customers even before starting building your product. But if you don't go through that route, you should spend the least time in the dark, and you should spend most of your time collecting feedback from your users. So you build an MVP, you share it with your users, and you improve upon it. And another thing that is really crucial that I didn't know is a proper launch. So in the past, I would build an MVP and then quickly go on Product Hunt and quickly set up my product page and launch it. Do you know what was the result? Right? I guess you can guess. No upvotes, nothing. I was basically there on my own. Maybe my mom upvoted or something in my friends, but no one else. So the first time I actually launched the WBE Space was 3 months ago, and I got a whopping 12 upvotes. 12 upvotes. This is absurd now. It's completely ridiculous. But I just didn't know better. I just thought that, okay, if the product is good, I will just launch it and people will like it. But that's absolutely wrong. This is not how it happens. You need to have an audience, and this is something that I really learned, and I will tell you about. So I even wrote a blog post about this, and I really recommend you to go and have a look as well if you like reading, because I shared some of the screenshots and I share some of the stats and everything. So you can just go to wannabe-entrepreneur.com, and it's the latest post that you can just go and check it out. I also link it in the description. But yes, I want to give you 3 tips that completely changed my launch. And I don't want to tell you if it was a success yet, because well, I guess I'm kind of indicating already, but I want to keep you in the suspense to see what actually happened, because I think it's a really interesting story. So first of all, preparation. You need to prepare for this launch. And one thing, the most crucial thing, if you can only have one thing, is create an audience. And the reason is very simple. You need to have a boost to be in the top page. So the moment the clock hits 12 a.m. in San Francisco, and by the way, this is also really important. Before, I didn't know it. So in Product Hunt, your product is up for 24 hours. Anywhere in the world, you have to run by the same clock, which is San Francisco clock. So when the clock hits 12 a.m. San Francisco, the new products are launched, and then once it hits 11:59, your products are out. So it's 24 hours that your products are live, and your goal in those 24 hours is to be on top. You need to have more upvotes than any of the other products being launched in the same day. And of course, that the more your product is in the top pages, the more people will see it and the more people will upvote it. So it's crucial, especially in the first hours, to have a lot of upvotes to make sure that your product is up there on the top pages, and then it moves to the feature pages, because that's also something that you need to understand. When you launch your product on Product Hunt, you have the feature page and then you have the new page. And if you go to Product Hunt and click on products, you will only see the feature pages. If you want to see the new products, so the ones that did not get featured, you actually have to change the filter and filter by new. And no one does that. I have to tell you, most of the people don't even scroll more than the 5 top or the 10 top products. So it's really crucial to be there, and for that you need the support of an audience. So in the past 3 months since my past failed launch, I've been working a lot on my Twitter. As you know, I have recently reached 1,000 followers, and I'm using it every day, so the engagement is great. And besides that, of course, I also have the WBE members. We are now more than 60, 70 active members, and I knew that I could count on their support as well. So I already had this amazing, great, solid base that I could use during my launch. So that part was covered. Then I prepared the launch. I really took the time to create my product page, to curate the images I wanted to show. I even filmed a little video with me explaining how the community worked. I showed some features. I showed the most used features actually in the video and everything. So I scheduled my launch 1 week in advance, which is, by the way, still very short notice. People sometimes do it more, but you know me, more than 1 week, it would be really hard. So I scheduled for my launch, with 1 week in advance, and I started preparing everything. I started sharing this with the community. I got their feedback. They helped me with the images because I created one main image, because when you open your product on launch, actually if you have a video, the first thing you'll see as a user is a video, but if you don't have a video, then you'll see your thumbnail image. So I really wanted to create one good one, and again, I'm not a designer, so it doesn't look amazing, but I really spent hours working on that image and working on the copy. And also in the first comment, you can schedule the first comment of your launch so that people can read it. So I really spent time doing that. And besides that, I also created a launch party. I wanted to do something surprising, something to capture people's attention. So I told them that there will be a live feed of my launch, and I'll be there. I said that I would be there the 24 hours, but that turned up not happening. But I was there a long time, and people could just join my meeting room, let's say, and ask questions, meet the other members. I invited people. I created an event on Eventbrite, and I shared it on Twitter, and I got people actually to claim the free ticket to then join the event, and a lot of members joined the event, and it was actually quite fun. Not a lot of people outside of the WB end up joining, but it was very fun, and this brought a lot of attention as well. So I started prepping my Twitter audience. I told them that I was about to launch. I created this launch party, and the people were already aware. And I also kind of pinpointed the people that I knew were going to be awake during that time, because for me, for instance, it was quite early, right? I normally wake up later than 8 a.m. So I tried to pinpoint the people that would be ready to give me those first crucial upvotes. And I did a proper preparation, basically. So that's, by the way, my second tip for you is to do a proper preparation. Get ready for your launch. This is not like a product, right? So when you're launching a new feature, you should launch it fast, because you can always update it. Even if there's a little bug, you can always fix it. With a launch, no. The moment you launch it, you cannot go back in time and update it. The launch is done, and it either goes well and you get a lot of traffic, or it goes wrong. And especially with Product Hunt, supposedly you should not be always launching the same products. And they tell you that you should wait 6 months. I end up only waiting 3 months, because I believe that my first launch was so bad that actually no one actually saw it, that I could afford now to do a proper one. But if you have a good launch, you cannot just keep on launch it. You need to launch different products, but you cannot do that with the same product. So that's the preparation I did. This is something that it's really crucial, really. If you want to launch on Product Hunt, please take the time to do this. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time, because no one will see your product, and you'll just get demotivated, disappointed, and you will waste time. And as an entrepreneur, time is your biggest asset for sure. So the day came and I was ready to launch. I went to bed and slept for like 3 hours because I wanted to wake up at 8 a.m., which was 12 a.m. In San Francisco time. And I was here. I was here ready. And I opened the launch party. I entered and bam, the clock hit 8 a.m. for me. So 12 a.m. in San Francisco again. And my product was live. I started immediately. I started a tweet. Actually, I tweeted about it and I asked people for support. I didn't ask directly for upvotes. I just asked for support. And the first upvotes started to arrive. I was feeling super, super excited because Product Hunt also gives you a little dashboard and you can just like update, and see all the upvotes going up, the comments and everything. And bam, my product was featured and it was in the featured page. I even reached the 5th position. I was over the moon because when you reach the 5th position, you already get the badge. So it already says 5th product of the day. So I was super excited, but then I lost some positions. I went to 6 and then I went to 7 and I was feeling a bit stressed. I was like, oh my God, what's happening? And in the meantime, people are already joining the launch party. As I told you, mostly members, but they are coming to the launch party and I was chatting with them. But then I kind of realized that maybe this was too much for me because I was really, really focused on the launch. In the same time, after doing my tweet, I was messaging every person I messaged in the past or interacted in the past on my Twitter account. And I just basically created a very simple message just saying, hey, I just landed on ProductHunt, would you mind supporting me? And I shared the link and I copy paste this to everyone. I just changed the name so that I could personalize a little bit the message. And I was sending messages to a lot of these people. And by the way, to do this, it really helped me to use Hiveway because Hiveway basically is a way for me to automate my welcome messages, which meant that every person that followed me in the past, I messaged them. And when I messaged them back, most of them replied, some didn't. I had started a conversation with a lot of people already, and it was much, much easier now to convince them to upvote me. So I just filtered the messages that had answers, and I asked them, and most of the people were ready to support me. And I started having more and more upvotes. I was in 6th position. I was happy because I was featured. I was getting traffic to the website, but I was still nervous because I didn't want to lose more than that. I started at 5th. I was now in 7th. I didn't want to lose more positions because that meant that my product wouldn't be as visible as before. And as I told you, in the meantime, the launch party is going on, and I'm also, of course, giving some attention to the people there. And I wanted to do that because those are the WBE members, and a lot of them I met for the first time in that launch party. So I was paying attention in the same time, trying to get upvotes, and it was super exciting. It really felt like some kind of sport, as I told you before, like some kind of race. So doing that, in the meantime, I realized that I started going up. I went up to 6, and I was like, this is interesting. Because I had actually less upvotes than the product ahead of me, but I was still ahead of them. So they were not ahead of me, right? But they had more upvotes. And then I realized, wait, it's not only the upvotes that count. There's other parts, other components like the reviews, the comments. Those are also important for the ranking algorithm. So I started asking people to also comment. I was answering all the comments. It's really important also to answer a lot of the comments. And that's, again, where the audience and having the community really help, because people, giving an upvote is easy. You just go there and click, especially if you already have an account. But actually writing a proper comment or a review, which most of the products, you can write comments and you can write reviews. So you're actually reviewing the product. Normally, you're already a user and you're reviewing it. Most of the products that are launched on Product Hunt, they don't have many reviews. But since I already have a lot of members, they were nice enough to actually write reviews. So I was being bumped up in the ranking system because I was having a lot of comments and I was having a lot of reviews. In the end, I ended up having 100 comments. and 15 reviews, which is much more than what a lot of the other products had. So yeah, I was now in sixth position, trying to fight for the fifth position, but the one I had was just growing super fast. So it really felt that it was really hard for me to reach, but I kept on pushing, sending message to everyone, sending a LinkedIn post, really trying to be creative and get more people to upvote me. Another thing that I did was to do a building public on Twitter. I was sharing my stats, I was sharing what I was going through, I was sharing all of that. And that really helped as well because a lot of people would see my comments, and I gained a lot of followers as well on Twitter because of that. So yeah, that was basically my day. My day was doing that. In the meantime, people just joined the launch party. I was chatting with them as well, and I would only see the products ahead of me getting further and further away. But actually, maybe 10 hours after the launch, I started to see that, well, my product and the other products were decelerating. So of course, we asked everyone we knew to upvote our products, and we didn't have any more people left. So we could see that pace was slowing down, and I thought, wait, maybe I can still catch the fifth position. And the reason why I wanted the fifth position is to get that badge, right? Only the top 5 products of the day get the product of the day badge. You can still just use the normal badge that tells you how many upvotes you had, which is also already cool, but you don't have the prize, basically, right? So I was still trying, and I was pushing hard to get there, but then more towards the night, it was already like 10 p.m. for me, I saw that the product that was actually below me, so it was in 7th position, started to suddenly gain a lot of upvotes. And I was thinking, what is happening? This sounds very shady, because suddenly, from one moment to the other, these products started growing and actually overtook me. So they are now in the 6th position, and I am in the 7th position. So I was like, okay, it's impossible. And one thing that you realize when you launch your product on Product Hunt and you have a certain degree of success, is that you will get a lot of spamming emails of people telling you that they can put you on top, they can get you a lot of upvotes. So I started getting these weird emails, and they were like, yeah, 100% guaranteed, you pay me after, I just say the word and I'll give you a lot of upvotes. And I was thinking, okay, I was a little bit tempted, I have to be honest, but I immediately discarded this idea because I didn't want to screw it up. To be honest, I was already really, really happy. At this point, I had like 250 upvotes. 250! Comparing this with my 12 upvotes of my first launch, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So I was really, really happy. And I at some point, I threw in the towel and said, okay, it's really good. I'm almost at 300 upvotes. I'll go to bed. And I did. I went to bed. I slept like a baby because I was really tired. And the next day I woke up really late, and I checked my page just to see what was the last position, and I was in 5th. Yes, I got the badge. Do you believe I got the Product Hunt badge because the 2 products that were ahead of me would like disqualified or punished because I guess they did something shady, and Product Hunt noticed that, so they retract a lot of the upvotes that the top products had, and because of that I was able to reach the 5th position. And I have to tell you, I was really, really happy. It didn't make a difference in terms of traffic, of course, because all the traffic that I had during the launch had already gone, right? I added and that's it. But the fact that I can now proudly show, and if you go to my wannabe-entrepreneur.com website, you will see the badge there. And the fact that I can show it, I know, it makes me proud. And it brings this social validation that's really, really important, especially for a community, because people don't really know what to expect. And when they see this, when they click and when they see other reviews, it gives them an extra motivation to join the community. So in the end, I was super, super happy. And it's funny because I keep on getting upvotes. I have now reached more than 300 upvotes. So I keep on getting more upvotes, even though my product is not featured anymore. One thing that I noticed was that because my product was in the product of the day, I got featured on the Product Hunt newsletter, which is great. And I kept on getting traffic, by the way. And let me give you the update. So I'm actually now opening my stats, And in the last 7 days, I got 539 visits coming from Product Hunt, which is amazing. It's much more than what I normally do. And from all of this, 19 clicked in a join button, and from these 19, around 4 people so far joined the community. I know that this takes time. Joining the community is not, most of the people don't just make the decision on the spot, because it's a subscription. People really make sure that they want to join. So sometimes it takes a lot of weeks to convince someone, but this brought a lot of awareness to the product, and I'm sure that in the next months I will see repercussions of this, and I'll get more and more new members because of this. So super happy with the launch. In the end, my current stats are 338 upvotes, 102 comments, and 13 reviews. And this is really, really great. In that day, I was competing with products that had a lot of upvotes, like 900 upvotes, because sometimes you just need to be lucky. Sometimes you're competing with products with huge teams that probably have some VC backing, and they have like 900 upvotes because they just have a huge audience already. And which is a little bit unfair, because Product Hunt should be just for bootstrappers, and you're competing with like full teams. So, for instance, I was just checking today's launch, and the top product has only 324. So I would be like second product of the day, or even first product of the day, if I would launch today. So it really depends. Sometimes you're lucky, sometimes you're not. But I'm super, super happy with this launch. Compare these 338 upvotes with the 12 I had. In 3 months, I was able to go from a complete shit launch to this that I consider to be a huge success. Because of what? Because of preparation, and because of having a great audience. So that's it. That's it for my story on the Product Hunt. This was also the tips and tricks for today's episode. And now I want to give you a little bit of lifestyle of an entrepreneur, which is how I felt after the launch. So in the beginning, over the moon for sure, but then a weird feeling started to pop up. The impostor syndrome. Yeah, you all know about this one. I don't know, for some reason, all of this success made me anxious to really perform and to have a proper product. I felt that I didn't deserve this for some reason, and that I was afraid that people would realize that after all, the launch or the community was not good enough, and that they would end up giving up, and they would stop being my members and paying members. So yeah, I felt a little bit like that. In the same time, I was somehow expecting to have more members joining, and I totally understand that this takes time. But you know, I was coming from the interview with Tony Dean that went from 300 MRR to 2000 just because of his launch. So I was thinking, okay, maybe I'm not expecting to have something like that, but something I was expecting a little bit more. And the fact that I didn't get immediately to that got a bit anxious, because I still feel that even though I'm getting closer and closer, and my MRR is growing faster and faster each day, I feel that it's still too far away from actually paying the bills. And currently I've reached the 400 MRR. I've reached this yesterday. Amazing, super happy with this, but it's still not even paying my rent. So my rent is 450, so my share, and then I split it with my partner. But I just want to at least to cover my expenses, and I'm still not even doing that. I'm getting closer, which is great, but I don't know. There's always this. It's crazy. Like, there's always a lot of happiness, and then a lot of kind of demotivation, because I know how much work goes into this. And don't get me wrong, I love doing this. I love being an entrepreneur, but it's just a lot of work. And you start really appreciating your money. You start thinking, I go out and have some dinner, or going on a trip or something, and I think, okay, how many members do I need to have per month to pay this dinner or to pay this trip? You know, you really start appreciating the money, and you start always thinking about it that way, because that's how you make it. Like, there's nothing else. There's no job. There's no one helping you. That's it. It's your business, and it's an amazing sensation, and also very, very scary. So I don't know. Part of me is always like, okay, I just want to make at least enough, maybe like 1K. I guess when I reach to 1K MRR, I'll be able to relax a little bit. Until then, sometimes I still feel bad for taking time off. If I'm taking time off on weekends to do something that I like, I feel that I should be working instead. And yeah, it's a weird feeling. After such a great launch, I should be over the moon. But in the end, what matters the most is being able to survive, to pay the bills. And that's something that I still haven't achieved, but getting better every day. I mean, from 12 upvotes to 300, it's an amazing leap in 3 months. So at least I see some growth, and this is what keeps me going. It's this growth. The growth on MRR, the growth on Twitter followers, the growth on members, the growth on launches like this, and the growth also on my knowledge. I feel that I know more now, and when I speak with the members, when I try to give some advice to the WBE members, I feel that I can really help, that my experience is taking me somewhere. So in the meantime as well, we are kind of entering in on a big recession, a big crisis, and this is there's a lot of Bolt just fired 1/3 of their employees, Klarna as well. So in the same time, I'm feeling a little bit nervous because if we are getting into a recession, maybe this will affect my business because people won't spend as much money on a community because they don't have that money, and in the same time, it will be harder for me to get a job if I need to. So it's, oh man, being an entrepreneur is so much. There's so much worries as well. I mean, it's super rewarding, but yeah, there's still a lot to worry about for sure. But yeah, thank you for listening to me, and I hope you enjoyed the Product Hunt launch story. I'm super happy with that. And besides that, I just want to give you a quick update. I'm now going on a holiday, yes. And let's see how this goes, because it's going to be about 2 weeks where I'll be mostly sailing. So I won't have much time to actually be around my computer. And I've been working for this, right? Like most of the things on my community are automated. I'm scheduling all my tweets. I'm doing all my interviews. So I planned this so that I have everything somehow automated and that my community still brings value, even though I'm not every day working on it. Let's see if this is true. Now, this is the time to check that, to see if I can live this lifestyle of still have an income, still have new members coming in while having holiday. Can I have holidays without worrying about my products too much? Or do I need to always be aware? So I will tell you about this in the next weeks, because that's what will going to happen. Besides that, also we'll have a workshop, design workshop on the community. I noticed that a lot of us entrepreneurs, we are terrible with design, me included. So João, I interviewed him already, and is the one that made the amazing WBE logo, agreed to do a little workshop for us, design basis, and some of us will attend. He will help us with our designs and give us the basis so that hopefully we can use in the future. So super excited about that. I also created a goals bot, so a bot that keeps tracks of your goals, so you can just do /goal and then type a goal and when you want to reach it, and the bot will make sure you get there by asking you for updates in public in the community, so that the members will keep you accountable, will ask you questions, and let's see if this works. And that's been it. That's been basically it. That's planning these 2 weeks ahead, doing the launch, and yeah, that's it for today's episode. I hope you found it valuable. You already know, if you like the Wannabe Entrepreneur, if you want me to keep on doing interviews and doing these freestyle episodes, one thing that you can do is to share the podcasts with your friends, is to tweet about it. So just go ahead, tweet about your favorite quotes of your favorite episodes. There's many episodes in the wannabe-entrepreneur.com/episodes, also link in the description. And if you can support it, you can also become a member of the WBE Space, and it's $10 per month. You get access to this amazing community of indie hackers, and you can also support this podcast, or you can also buy the merch at store.wannabe-entrepreneur.com. This was another Wannabe Entrepreneur. See you on Thursday.